Hello and welcome to the Sober Freedom Podcast. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're here to share our experiences of going alcohol-free and the freedom that it brings in the hope that it might inspire and support you in your journey. Today, Lisa and I are in the studio with Vicky Pete. Vicky is the founder of My Happy Balance, supporting women to feel more energised, confident, healthier and happier. And we all need a bit of that. My Happy Balance combines strength training, wellness and nutrition to support clients, often through challenging times or stages of their life, such as menopause. Vicky can be found connecting with clients online or in her private one-to-one gym in Chorlton. Vicky is now 5 years sober, and interestingly, My Happy Balance has been going for nearly 5 years too. Vicky and I have met previously on the party scene, along with podcast producer Matt. We reconnected for the purpose of the podcast, and it sounds like there's a lot to catch up on.
Yes.
And there's also a lot of synergy between Lisa and Vicky's work, so I know today is going to be a packed show. Vicky, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. This is my first podcast.
Oh, there you go. First of many now, Vicky.
Let's hope so.
Oh, it's so good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. So it's been a long time since we last met. I think, getting on for like 20 years.
I know, I was thinking that, like maybe about 20 years. But
it's
that
the last
just
time we
sounds
saw each other.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, flipping heck.
It's like a whole person, isn't it? 20 years.
It's going to be like an episode of This Is Your Life.
So when we met each other, it was like I mentioned in the intro, it was part of the sort of party scene, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Matt was there as well. It was in a house that has been referenced before on other episodes where everyone would all...
Party house.
It was wild. So obviously a lot's changed since then. 5 years sober. Do you want to tell us how you got to that point?
Yeah. Never a point that I thought I would get to, especially when we're talking back 20 years and being in that party house and what we were doing. But yeah, 5 years. So I guess probably around 2018, something like that, I had this moment in my life where I was at someone's wedding, a good friend's wedding, and I just felt really disconnected from everything and really anxious. And I was drinking a lot at that point, and particularly that day I was drinking, and I kind of kept taking myself out of the wedding and sitting outside and just drinking and just smoking, and kind of took a glimpse of myself and what I looked like. And I just looked kind of just run down. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like the size I was and all that kind of stuff. And it just did not feel right. I felt really sad and unhappy. And I thought something's got to change. Something really has to give here. And so that was the Saturday. And by the Monday, I'd got myself a new personal trainer and started with them. And soon after that, started seeing a therapist, which was really helpful. And I was in and out of this kind of like desperation to keep drinking, but also wanting to get out of drinking. And yeah, just kind of went through this therapy, started getting my life a little bit more on track in terms of my own well-being. I started studying nutrition, and that was kind of like for myself, but also as a secret in the back of my mind that I wanted to start my own business and work within nutrition at least. And yeah, so that's what happened for those first couple of years. But there was still something that I needed to do, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to give up alcohol, but also I felt trapped by it as well. And I would say that friends probably wouldn't have said that I had a problem with alcohol because we were all drinking. I was always with friends that were drinking. My family drink, and so I was always surrounded by people that were drinking. And it was more about the way that it was making me feel. So I'd used it as a way of controlling my anxiety, but then that turned into a vicious circle of becoming even more anxious, to the point where when I knew I was going to have alcohol and there was a little bit of a barrier in the way. So, for instance, I used to live with one of my best friends, And we would always convince each other a drink was a good idea at the end of the day, even if we'd said the night before, we're not doing it again. Just tonight, we won't do it again. And so I'd be waiting for her to come home from work. I'd have got home before her. And the inside of me was bubbling, absolutely bubbling. Like everything would be just like, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And I'd be really anxious and really like, maybe angry isn't the word, because I wasn't angry with her whatsoever, but I was just really mad. Like, I need this alcohol now. But I wouldn't have it on my own. That was a strange thing. Like, I wouldn't drink on my own. And I think it's because I knew where it might go if I drank on my own. So I'd wait for her to come home. And then if she happened to be in the car on a phone call or need to come in the house and do something or pop to the bathroom or something like that before having the actual drink, I would literally be like, but that wasn't visible to people, but that's what was going on. And that would be a similar thing, you know, if I was going out to a bar, like, where's the taxi, or why isn't so-and-so ready? You know, all of this just inside constantly. And then it'd just all happen again the next day, because then I'd wake up, I'd be really anxious because, oh my God, I've drunk all this booze again, I've spent all this money again, I can't really afford to do it, but I'm still doing it. I feel dreadful for work, I've had to get a taxi to work, and yeah, it was just all too much. And this wouldn't be like all the time. I'd have little bouts where I wouldn't drink as much, or wouldn't drink as often, should I say. But then I would go back into it again. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to sort myself out. I'm going to do all this really healthy stuff. And that'd be like great for a few days or a couple of weeks. Or I might do dry January every now and then. But yeah, I think it was December 2019. And I just felt like I'd drunk so much that I was just like, this isn't, that I can't do this now. I just felt like I'd been out too many times. I was too tired. And I thought, I do really need to knock this on the head. But again, I'd had those thoughts a number of times, and I tried to think of ways that I could do it, because I didn't think I could do it by just saying, I'm not going to drink, whether that was because of myself, just and like my motivation or whatever, or if it was because I felt like I should drink because other people would expect me to. And I've tried to think of ways, like dry January even was really good, because it's an excuse not to drink.
I suppose it's like the acceptable time as well. Like
exactly.
Nobody's going to question that.
Yeah, you're allowed not to drink in January. It's totally fine. You don't get questioned by people. You get told well done and all that kind of stuff. I even thought, kids isn't something that I've thought about having before, but I even thought about, well, what if I got pregnant? That would be an excuse to not drink. And I didn't do that. But it was these fleeting things in my head of, how can I do it without losing face? What does that mean? Why is it losing face? But it just seemed too big a thing to do, to just do.
So that's a big thing to be thinking, maybe I'll get pregnant to stop.
Yeah, quite a big thing.
Because that would be like an acceptable way to stop drinking,
yes.
you say. Not because it would force you to stop, but no one would sort of question you in that situation.
Yeah. And luckily I didn't do that. Because it wouldn't have been acceptable to do that, because that's not the way I wanted my life to go. So
but it does just illustrate like how big of a hold the idea of stopping and other people's judgment held over you.
Yeah.
That was quite a plausible thought to you at that time.
Yeah. It's madness, isn't it? And that's not to say that these people did have judgment over me. It's just how I perceived it, or how people that are in these situations do perceive it. They think that people are going to... I think my thought was, people are going to think I'm not fun anymore. I'm not going to feel comfortable when I'm going out in certain situations. You know, for me, it was quite a good thing to hide behind. And I started drinking when I was 13, and that was because I'd moved to a different area, and all of the kids out on the street, that's what they were doing. And, you know, I'd go to the park and I'd drink, and it was so that I was accepted, so that I looked cool, and so that I felt comfortable with this like different culture of people that I was used to back where I'd grown up. And that just, I guess, continued to play through my life, really, of that acceptance and that helping with anxiety.
Yeah, it's a theme of fitting in, even from that young age. Drinking to fit in. And then as you got older, drinking in social situations to fit in and relax yourself as well. And yeah, I think from like you say, 13, the patterns are starting to develop there. So over time, if that's reinforced, this is what I do, this is how it makes me feel, this is what happens, it just becomes stronger. So no wonder at a later stage you felt such anxiety around actually stopping that pattern.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been a coping mechanism. It's, I've had really enjoyable times, like when I've been drunk, when I have been drinking, I've had some great times, back 20 years ago and stuff like that. It has been good, but it's I have been using it. I guess I drank more than I needed to, or drank more often than I needed to, or would find reasons to drink. I would only smoke when I drank, and then I started drinking more so that I could smoke more, and then got into that kind of like circle of things as well. So it was just all really unhealthy behaviour, and like I say, people around me might not have seen that it was particularly unhealthy, but it was why I was using it, the feelings I was covering up, the anxiety that I was thinking that I was kind of helping. But as well, that I, from an early age as well, I've been a binge eater as well. I had binge eating disorder, so it's a very similar thing, of having that anticipation of, I need this food, I absolutely have it. Oh my God, I can't have it now because people are there, they're going to see me, or I need to get home, or I need to get to the shop so I can get this food and down it, basically. And that was the same feeling I was getting with alcohol as well. So they were both working in that way for me.
Quite powerful. Quite powerful hold that. It's almost a way of self-soothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
For yourself. And the, like you say, the bubbling sensation, like if for example, someone walked through this door now and you were to just crack open a beer or something, but whoa, just hang on a minute, I'll just walk through the door, just chill. But you've been waiting there for them to walk through the door. Yeah. To them, it's crazy because it's very overwhelming. To you, that anxiety and that anticipation and that need has been building up for hours. It's like when my dogs wait for me to get home and they go, Rah!
Yeah, that's what I'm like, the door I'm like that with my pattering paws.
Yeah, relax. But that's what's been on, that I've been on my dog's mind since the moment I left that morning, you know what I mean? So it's built up and it's built up and it's built up. Yeah. So it's the urge just gathers momentum. The same with the food it's a way of self-soothing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a kind of unbearable, overwhelming urge, like a compulsive urge to just feel better for whatever that pain is that you're trying to push back down.
It's really hard to be able to control it. But with the alcohol, I did everything I could to control it, so I wouldn't drink on my own. So I would wait for someone to get home, or I would wait to get to the bar, or whatever it was.
So these are some of the rules you sort of put in place for yourself.
Yeah, but it was like this kind of masking of how I was feeling about it. On the surface, it'd be like, oh yes, okay, I'll go and get the drinks ready. I'll do that, just looking like I'm fine, but not actually feeling fine. And yeah, I think that it just got to a point in that December 2019 where I was like, no, I've drunk too much now in a short period of time. I'd had a bit too much and I was feeling rough. So I thought, I'm definitely going to do dry January. I kind of pretended to drink on Christmas Day and with my family and stuff like that. I mean, I had a couple of drinks, but I wasn't drinking as much as I normally do. And then did dry January. My friend who I lived with, she was doing 40 days sober before turning 40. So that allowed me to then kind of sit off on the back of that after dry January. Mm-hmm. And then it was mine and her birthday. That was my last big drinking session. So that was like beginning of March 2020, just before lockdown.
And had you told anybody, like in that run up, that you were wanting to drink less, or were you all the time just sort of?
I think me and my friend that lived with me, I think we would talk about it every now and then, that it would kind of concern us, and we'd started getting a little bit interested in reading, like the what's the book called? The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. I think we'd both read that. So we were interested in it, and we were interested in it from another health perspective as well. But we weren't really doing it because we enjoyed it as well. We were in this routine. We'd go and sit in the garden every night. I mean, there were times when we didn't, but we'd get into these routines of doing that. So we'd had some conversations, but I don't think we'd had a full on, right, I'm definitely doing it, or we're definitely doing it, or anything. And then, and I guess I didn't really know if I was doing it as well. I just knew that I probably needed to and wanted that break. And then lockdown happened, and she locked down with her boyfriend, and so I locked down on my own. And it was then I thought, right, this is the turning point now. I either get involved in the online drink, we would have Zooms and little online drinking parties or whatever. I thought, I'm either going to get into doing this and then becoming like drinking on my own, and that's going to become really easy for me to do, or I'm not going to drink. And I decided I didn't want to drink. And the first couple of Zooms that I went on where people were having, a few of us were having drinks, I'd pretend I was having a gin and tonic. And then I just decided I'm not drinking anymore, and started saying to people that I wasn't drinking. And so when it opened up and we came out of lockdown, I wasn't drinking. But all the time I would say, I'm just not drinking at the moment, but if I fancy a drink tomorrow, I'll have one. I've not given up.
And did you believe that when you were saying it?
It's funny you should ask me, because I was writing this down, like I've written a timeline down, because everything always disappears out of my brain. Perimenopause, that's the situation. And I was writing that down before that's what I used to always say. And I was like, I don't think I ever believed myself, even when I first started saying it. And it's not long since I've stopped saying that. Okay. Like I would say it's only in the last few months I've stopped saying that. And I've been sober 5 years.
So you didn't believe it in the respect that you knew you weren't going to drink again, or how did it work?
Believe what it was I thought, if I drink again, I will continue to drink, and I'll just be in and out of doing this once every few years, and it's never really going to happen. And actually, I feel so much better from not drinking. I still have anxiety, and I deal with that in different ways. I still have binge eating disorder, and I deal with that in different ways. Sometimes, when life gets tough, I had a really bad year last year and things kind of exacerbated and came back. But if I was still drinking, going through the things that happened last year, going through perimenopause, which started about 4 years ago, my God, I just don't know how bad things would have been, because it's been really tough anyway. But having that on top of that would have been really difficult. And I kind of feel like there's a few things that I think, and alcohol's one of them, if I let it happen just once and have one drink, my life's going to tumble. And there's a few things that that are like that I think if I don't put that back in its right place or do this correctly, life's going to tumble. And alcohol is one of those things that I think would make life tumble. But I'm not scared that I'm going to drink again. And I've also strangely not found it hard since I gave up in lockdown, since I made that decision. And I think lockdown, as tough as it was for people. I think it really helped me with alcohol and with becoming sober, because I didn't have to pretend. Apart from those first couple of Zooms, I didn't have to pretend I wasn't drinking. I didn't have anyone watching me what I was doing, and nobody was watching me before. But that's just what was in my head.
Yeah, you didn't have to deal with those potentially just confronting conversations to say why you weren't.
Yeah, because I think it kind of, what does it do? It doesn't scare people, but it can make people a little bit uncomfortable when you say that you don't drink anymore. And I think maybe that's part of why I said, if I want a drink tomorrow, I'll have one, because I didn't want people to feel uncomfortable. Because sometimes, I don't know if you found this, but when you say that you don't drink, then people become very conscious of what they're drinking, or I am going to have a drink, but it's because of this reason or that reason. Like, that's fine. Like, enjoy yourself, have a drink, and if you feel good with that, like, that's great. What I'm doing doesn't have to reflect on what you're doing. It can be quite extreme to completely cut it out. It's just if you need to or want to is the thing of it. Like, I would never project it on anyone else to have to do it.
Yeah, I think as well, that's quite a common way that it can be received when you say, "Oh, I'm not having a drink." What? You kind of looked at like you've got two heads or something.
Yeah.
I think more now, as people are becoming aware of the health benefits and the lifestyle benefits of either reducing alcohol or becoming alcohol free, it's less of a question. In fact, quite a lot of the time it's not a question. When I've been out and someone says, what do you want to drink? And I'll say, "Oh, can you get me this?" And it'll be an alcohol free one. Just go, right, okay, and what are you having? It's not a, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's more kind of in the conversation these days, whereas I think as little as 2-3 years ago, it was a big, like, why? We've talked about this before, people are like, well, why don't you drink? Have you got a problem? Like people want to know the ins and outs. And maybe you do have a problem, maybe you don't, but it's no one's business, but also it does kind of make people think about their own drinking. And if they kind of like mirror themselves with you, and it's like, well, why is she stopping? There's nothing wrong with me. Or is there...
It's holding a mirror up to people, isn't it? For that, or they feel that it's holding a mirror up for their own behaviours.
But the disappointing thing is, you're not doing it to hold a mirror up. You're doing it for your own reasons.
Yeah. So how did people react when you did start saying, like, no, I'm not drinking?
I would say probably quite positively, but also surprised. And maybe, I mean, I don't know if there was discomfort from them, but not knowing if I still want to come out or be in certain situations, or checking in with me to see, is this something you want to do? Like, yeah, I still want to go out and I still want to have fun, but I'm just not going to have a drink when I do it. But also I might want to go out and do different things. So, do you fancy going for a walk, or do you fancy doing this? And people be like, yeah, that's brilliant, and would really enjoy that. So people actually do want to do other things rather than just go for a drink. Whereas me and my friends, all we would do was go for a drink, but now we do loads of different things. Yeah. So we meet each other in different ways. We go to different wellness things and discover all these new things that maybe aren't new, but are new to us because our time was taken up being at the pub.
Yeah.
So I would say kind of positive, but maybe sometimes a little bit uncomfortable with it. What was the other thing I was going to say? Some people like to ask a lot of questions. Some people are really interested. Like, they want to know more, and they want to know how difficult it was, or if I'm never going to have a drink again, and all these questions. But I think because they want to know for themselves, because part of them does feel like maybe they want to try it as well, or at least try it for a little while and know that it's okay to do. Because although it is, you're totally right, it's far more talked about and far more normal now, and there's loads of alternatives out there, drink-wise as well. But I think that, and I think the younger generations are a lot less involved in alcohol, but you know, we come through from that kind of partying kind of background, and so I think, yeah, for some people they still feel like it is a thing that they need to do when they don't have to. But there's people that obviously will continue drinking and want to, and it's totally fine. But you know, there are those people that are really inquisitive, and you can see, dependent on the questions, as to, oh right, I think they might be a bit interested in that.
I guess because you've been there, haven't you? So you know what it's like, and you know that you could, you know, you were sort of hiding those feelings of anxiety and concern for your own drinking. So then people are asking these inquisitive questions. You're like, oh yeah, I would have probably liked to have known that.
Yeah, yeah. And I was always the one that was like, oh God, why aren't so-and-so drinking? They're so boring.
And when you were saying things like that, because obviously you had this other narrative going on, didn't you, of not wanting to drink, looking for excuses to drink.
Yeah.
How did that align when you were saying things like that? Where was that coming from?
A bit of jealousy. So, sorry, where was it coming from? It was coming from the fact that I was jealous, that they could make those decisions.
Okay.
And also kind of whenever we were out, I always felt like I should be the last person standing or one of the last people standing. And so if people went home early, I'd be like, oh God, why are they going home but early? They're so boring. But inside I'd be like, I'd love to go home right now. Love to go to bed. So I think a lot of it was just because I'd quite like to have been able to do that, or feel able to do that.
There's a lot of conflict going on for you.
But I would just externalise it by going, oh God, they're so boring. Whereas no, actually, they were just going home to bed because it's really late as it is. And they want a weekend, or they've got work in the morning. Or
And how did it feel when you were able to sort of take control and start being that person?
It was great. It was great to go places and be able to drive there and back.
I love that.
The ease of that was really nice. The first time where I said, "Oh, I'm going to leave. I'm going home now," I was like, felt like pretty liberated.
Quite powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. And you know, it gets to a point where you think it is really late now. So what actually is really going to happen? Like within the next few hours are going to be the like really drunken ones, which I'm not on that level with today. So I'm not going to stay. Sometimes I might be on that level because I like to have fun still, but I can make that decision without having to think, is someone going to leave with me? Are they going to think that they should leave with me? Am I going to get a taxi at this time? You know, is it okay to walk out on the street in the dark? And now I'm just get in my car and go home.
Yeah,
have a cup of tea and go to bed.
I do love that. It's when you first stop drinking as well, it's quite an adjustment, isn't it? To be like, I can just jump in the car. Yeah. Oh, it's so freeing. Oh,
I'm home
off
already.
I go.
It's what cost me 20 quid to get home.
And with the wellness and nutrition element of your business and your training that you're doing now, have you learned around like how alcohol impacts when we're in perimenopause and menopause? Because I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. I mean, it impacts a lot because for very similar reasons, it impacts us when we're not going through those stages, but we're a lot more sensitive to alcohol when we start going through that kind of stage of life. It starts to play into, you know, it can make us more stressful. It adds stress to our body. So we find it harder to then be able to deal with that stress, which can in turn just create us to become more reliant on alcohol, feeling that we need it to kind of ease that stress off. It can prevent us from having good sleep. But again, we might use it to think that it's going to help us sleep. But with alcohol, whether you feel like you've had a really good sleep or not, you've not had the quality of sleep that you need. And we need to really kind of, I always say to clients, whether in perimenopause or not, that sleep is one of the most important aspects of wellness and nutrition. It's without sleep, we're placing more stress on our body. We are causing changes in our hunger levels and reaching out for quick and easy, more likely to reach out for quick and easy foods because we're knackered. There's all kinds of, exercise or movement. It will reduce the amount of movement that you're doing. If you're feeling tired, you might put off exercising, all that kind of stuff. And it ends up being this whole vicious circle. So for perimenopause, it's really important that we do focus on getting that good sleep so that our body is recovering really well, and it being able to ease the amount of stress that we put on our body. It's also messing with our blood sugar levels. So, when we're putting a lot of sugar into our body, we're getting that huge spike from the sugar, like a sugar rush. But then what's happening is we're coming into a massive low dip. And it's those low dips then that are going to start affecting our sleep, affecting the way that we eat, because those dips cause us to become hungry again. And so then we're in this cycle again of going, oh my God, I'm hungry again. Quick, I'm going to reach out for that quick fix.
Or like the high fat
alcohol.
food.
And you're in that whole huge peak and then massive dip that your blood sugar levels are never consistent. Therefore, you're more susceptible to those stresses on your body, tiredness, all of that kind of stuff.
Mood as well, like mood swings.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. And again, that's another thing with alcohol, that we can feel that we might have it to improve our mood, but it's playing into our mood. So it can be quite hard for people in perimenopause to reduce the amount that they drink or quit drinking. But it's not to say that they need to quit drinking, but just trying to find ways of maybe reducing alcohol, eating and that before having alcohol, things like that, to help balance those blood sugar levels. If we're having protein, carbohydrates and fat, that's helping balance those blood sugar levels. So we should and will help the alcohol. One of the words has gone out of my head. Perimenopause is here, girls.
Metabolize?
Yes, thank you.
That
That's
one? Oh, yes.
That's a good one. We'll go with that one. So there's a lot of things that it plays into. And like I say, like that, the sleep, stress, mood elements are those big hitters, really.
And I guess when we're already, like, if we're experiencing the perimenopause symptoms, that's already a lot to deal with, isn't it? And then, like, throwing alcohol into that mix as well. And it's like it'll exacerbate those symptoms as well. So if you're someone that has like hot flushes, alcohol can play into that and cause those symptoms to be worse. Like you said before, mood swings, that kind of thing. Like a lot of the symptoms, alcohol does kind of push them a little more than they are. So it is a really good way to kind of ease off some of those symptoms. Yeah. I've definitely found, like, I feel I'm more level. My family might not agree, but with the mood swings and things, like, I can feel I'm more consistent, and that's happening less now that I'm alcohol free.
Yeah.
I feel a lot more level.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's very, like I say, very similar for whether you are or you're not going through perimenopause, the effects that it would have, but it's just everything's exacerbated in perimenopause. So yeah, it's quite hard, and then getting into that cycle of potentially having a few more drinks because you want to stop feeling this way can be quite easy to do. But yeah, I think for some people it's just looking at ways to be able to reduce it if they're not wanting to completely stop drinking. But it's definitely alcohol and caffeine, definitely something to consider reducing.
Not caffeine as well.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
I do like a half coffee now in the morning
right.
so that I'm not getting that, because I'd get very anxious. I'd notice I'd get very anxious after I'd have like a normal coffee, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So it's all going. Bread's gone as well.
Oh, shame. Yeah, it's just trying to keep that balance between the things that you do still enjoy, but just being conscious that our bodies are going through this huge change at this point in our lives, and it can be very difficult for people. Some people can breeze through it and it's fine, but we're all so different that it's really hard to say, this is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's, just working with people individually to see how they feel, what makes them happy, what's difficult, and how can we start looking at kind of balancing that up and doing things that are going to add to their lives rather than kind of take away, really. And that's the main focus of my kind of wellness and nutrition program, is adding, rather than it being diets where you're taking away. You're adding all goodness to your life, and that hopefully kind of then starts easing off some of the things that aren't as nutritious or aren't as positive for your well-being. It becomes a little bit more natural that way.
Yeah, and plus the better you feel once you start doing it, the less inclined you're going to be. Like, you'll know now if you've had like a big meal or a weekend where you've overindulged and you just feel so crappy the next day or something. It's like it has an effect on you, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think like on the line of like adding the positive things in, I know that before I even thought about stopping drinking, I added in the positivity of exercise at your gym, Lisa, and I started adding that, started to feel better and more confident, so that actually my life, generally, the base level was good and positive. So actually every time I did have a hangover, that was taken away. The hangover was taken away from those positive things, like being able to go to the gym and enjoy my workout. So it started having a bigger cost, really, that boozing and the hangovers. So jamming all that positivity in is definitely a good step. And like you say, it's not like you're not sacrificing, you're not taking away. And I think when we think about stopping drinking, initially it can be like, I'm giving it up, I'm going to be losing that. But there is so much more that can be gained. You've just maybe got to be a bit creative.
For sure, like weekends, like weekend days, they exist.
I think it's about reframing. Isn't it? It's not like you're losing out. It's if you think about how much you're going to gain. Like you've spoken several times, Crystal, about how much more present you are for Si and the boys. How many more activities you do as a family now, because either one or both of you are, hanging out your ass or just
thinking about alcohol.
Yeah.
We went away the other day, and it was so funny. We're in this little village in the countryside. Usually, like a few years ago, we'd have been like, look at that pub, that pub looks nice, let's go in there. There was a gym, like a really fancy gym, very similar to yours. I was like, oh, look at that gym, that looks it's like, oh my God, who am I? But yeah, my focus has totally shifted so that we can enjoy those family times, but also the things that I'm interested in now has changed so much.
You have that clarity to see that there's more going on around you and things,
and appreciate it.
You can do, and absolutely appreciate it. I wouldn't have been able to build my business if I had carried on drinking. No. There's no way I'd have been able to do that.
So you'd stopped drinking. You'd been doing the health and nutrition training in the background, had you?
Yeah.
And then when did you make the leap to set up?
So I'd been training. I started with nutrition training, and that was back in, I think the first course was maybe 2018, maybe early 19. So before I gave up drinking. And then I'd started thinking about a business that, that maybe I might, I wanted to be able to support people. I wanted to support people feeling more energized and that kind of thing. And then as lockdown came in, I was put on furlough from my job, and I was like, this is brilliant. I can focus on the business. So I started building the business, but also doing a few more courses as well. So that's when I started doing things like that, menopause specific stuff, pre and postnatal, those kind of things, and specifically a lot of other focuses on women's health as well. And it just gave me that time to be able to do it, whereas I wouldn't have done that before, whilst also in the background building this wellness and nutrition program that I do. And yeah, it just kind of went from there. What was your question? This always happens. It's dropped out of my head. What was
the question? What do you want for your tea?
Oh, right. I love that question. It's one of my favourites.
But I think I can't remember the exact question, but I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because you had that like pivotal moment there where you could have chosen very differently what path you were going to go down.
Yeah, and so it just gave me that focus, that lockdown, to be able to fast track it, I guess, but also with the fact that, I knew I'd given up alcohol, so I had more clarity, I had more time. We all had more time. Well, a lot of people had more time. And it just, I think within that time as well was when I realised that it was specifically women's health that I wanted to go down. So I'd started with the idea of wanting to work with kids. And I think that stems from the fact that I developed binge eating disorder when I was about 10 or 11, something like that. And so I really wanted to kind of work with kids, and that was the idea of going down the nutrition path. And then as I started doing that, I realised that when I started learning a little bit more about women's health, I was like, oh my God, there is so much to know, and there's so much that isn't known by people. And there's so much support that we need as women within these stages of our life. So that's why I ended up kind of going down that route. And as I think about it, I think that I must have been coming into like that perimenopause, like beginning perimenopause basically, because all of this stuff was starting to like ring true. And I was like, oh yeah, I get what they mean by that. And then as time went on, I was like, oh my God, I'm going through them. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Brain fog, don't know what's going on. And yeah, just realised that there needs to be more help for women out there, rather than, going to a gym and being told to do all of this exercise with no thought for who the person is and what they might be going through. In fact, I'm getting all mixed up with my story. So we're in lockdown. I decided to go down do a personal training course because I wanted to have that information to support my wellness and nutrition, I hadn't planned to become a strength trainer or a personal trainer. And then a friend of mine asked if I would train him. So I started training him, and I was like, actually, I really love this. This is great. So that's why I now do, that's why the business then developed into all of those kind of areas, but still with that main focus on women and women's health. And particularly with people that haven't really done strength training before, because it's so important in the time of menopause as well. It's important that we should be doing it from a very young age. With alcohol, I just wouldn't have been able to do it. And I did try to there were another few businesses that I did before that had completely nothing to do with nutrition, that just didn't take off because I wasn't focused enough on them.
So do you think you'd have got to where you are with your business now if you'd have carried on drinking?
No.
Definitely.
No. I think it would have just been a fleeting hobby with the knowing in the back of my head that I really did want to do that. It's something I've been interested in for years, since my 20s, from being in sport and being in that kind of arena of knowing what's, getting introduced to strength training to support my sport, and nutrition to support my sport as well. But I never thought that I could do that because I was either too busy with my sport in my 20s. So I didn't drink a huge amount in my 20s. It was ramped up more again, really, in my 30s. And where is my brain going with this one? What was happening then? So it'd been an interest for many years. But I just didn't think that it was for me. And also I felt really kind of like, well, how can you do that? Because you look a certain way, or you act a certain way, or you're not able to do this kind of thing. I always thought, things are for other people to do. I don't get to do them. I just sit and go to work and then have a drink and see my friends. That's what I do. Everyone else can go off and do all of these different things with their life. And I'd get really mad with people that left the area I lived in, or left work, or left university, or something like that. I'd be like, why is everyone leaving all the time? This just isn't right. I don't know why I went down that one.
Do you think when you stopped, you stopped alcohol, did that, obviously you'd done the background work, but do you think that gave you the confidence? Did you feel a change in your sort of confidence and self-belief?
It gave me a lot more confidence because because I'd stopped drinking, and because I was looking after myself as well, I'd lost a lot of weight. So it gave me a lot more confidence knowing that I could, and also through all the studying that I've done and the time I'd put into the business, I was like, yeah, I can do this. This is great. But then I would have imposter syndrome in another way. It gets to us all, doesn't it?
Definitely.
And then, going through phases of, other health issues that would have been awful if I had been drinking, kind of then causing me to maybe put weight on and stuff like that, and then thinking, oh my God, how can I do the job that I do now because I've put weight on, or I've gone through this, I've suffered burnout, I'm doing this has happened. And I've just got to remind myself that, wellness and nutrition coaches, personal trainers, we all come in different shapes and sizes, and we all have different challenges and experiences, and we're real people. And having those experiences with real people, working with someone that has had real experiences, is going to have understanding and empathy and support with the things that these women will go through that are seeking out someone to kind of help. I don't know if I just said that in a really blah, 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 blah
that
way.
makes sense.
I was like, am I still talking?
I mean, yeah, you want someone who you can relate to, don't you?
Yeah.
I think, with all of these things, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. I'm so glad you got that opportunity in the lockdown and were able to make that choice.
Yeah.
I heard something else the other day as well. I think back to what you were saying as well. It's about making a commitment to yourself. So with alcohol and when we're drinking, we'll often make these commitments that don't stick. So I'm not going to drink today. Oh, but I have. And that chips away at your confidence, doesn't it? But by saying I'm not going to drink today and slowly building those patterns up and not doing it, you made a commitment to yourself that you're sticking to, so you can start to really believe in yourself. And I think that's really important. Thanks for being with us today, Vicky.
Thank you so much for having me, both of you.
You're welcome.
Been nice.
And if people are listening to this and they want to find you, where can they get hold of you?
My website is myhappybalance.co.uk, so you can go on there, and it's got information on the strength training route, the wellness and nutrition, or combination of both, and you can get in touch with me through there.
Brilliant. And
Great stuff.
I'll link it all in the show notes for everyone there as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky.
The Sober Freedom podcast is hosted by Crystal Downsip and Lisa McGuinness. To leave comments, ask questions and interact with the show, follow @sober.freedom on Instagram. Please also subscribe, rate and leave comments wherever you listen to help us reach more people. The show is recorded at QPod Studios in Oldham and produced by me, Matt Dean, with video production from Eddie Corteen for QPod Productions. For more information, please visit kupod.co.uk.